Welcome back. Been a little while since I've done a YouTube video, but busy season, and this one has kind of been on a slow boil. So some of you might well have seen my near-death experience with Will Wilkinson yesterday. I have to say, never experienced that, and hope I don't ever again. But it gives a bit of an insight into what we've been doing over the last few months. Will came to me really struggling with his game, not sure what to do, a bit disillusioned. So what we did is we took a step back, took a really holistic approach to look at his game, and the results speak for themselves. Let's take a look. So what we've got over here on the right is Will back in August, and the big thing that everyone will notice here, and we'll get the headlines, is that Will was swinging his 7-iron at 84 miles an hour, and then this is yesterday in yellow, January 2014, and you can see now the clubhead speed has gone up some 10 plus miles an hour. Big reason for that is threefold. One, understanding his body, been working hard at his body. Two, changing his technique, and three, his equipment. And from that standpoint, what is different, so you can visually see the difference. Big thing here back in August was Will really kind of struggled to load into his right side. He kind of stayed left side dominant, and for Will that wasn't great because he's got some physical characteristics there of his lead hip or his left hip. It doesn't really want to internally rotate. It's probably the only thing that he really struggles with physically, and as you can see here, because of that he really leaned into that hip, which also kind of got him to slightly extend forward or towards the target. So some of you will know that as early extension. It's barely, but it's slightly, you can see just moving forward. So instead of rotating, he kind of leaned into it and went forward. And also you'll see here that the plane of the swing, he was really kind of picking the club up, had this little move, this steepening move, and then chopped down left and across. So what we've done over the last few months from a technical standpoint is just work around his physical characteristics. We've got him to load a lot better here, so you'll see here that the rotation on the way back, upper body and everything here, far better loading on the way back, and then on the way down you'll see here kind of made some technical adjustments which I'll go into later, but that's really allowed him to rotate into that left side, and you'll also see there that now we've eliminated that early extension. So if we look down the line you can see that. And we've also just been able to shallow things off a little bit here. So you can see there, shallow things off. It has this little move at the top of the backswing, which is, again, that's a physical thing, which I'll go into a little bit later on. But again, we've kind of used that, but then the club delivery, you can see here, far more efficient. So that's kind of what we're seeing. But then if we have a look under the hood of the what GAINZ is showing us, it's kind of why is he swinging a lot quicker? Well, if we go into his kinematic sequence, so apologies here, I'm having a bit of a geek out. The eagle-eyed amongst you will see, if I zoom in here, hopefully you can see there that that kind of lime green peak and then the blue peak there. Well, that's his arm loading. So what's happened is because we've facilitated better rotation, so if I take away his pelvis and his torso from the clubs, you'll see that peak's nice and clear. So what we've done, just by kind of making some technical adjustments, again I'll go into what's happened, we've gone up from a peak of 859 to 996, so quite a lot, 120 odd degrees, and then that's then transferred into the rotation of the club. It's gone from 2000 that's degrees per second, 2000 to 2200, so more rotational velocity. And then also what happened was, what we've done is, the other big thing that's allowed him to do this is his release pattern and how he's able to decelerate the handle. So you can see there in blue that was the grip speed that Will used to have, 20 miles an hour, but now because of in terms of better body movement and better club delivery, that's now gone up some 3 miles an hour, which is translating to significant clubhead speed at delivery. And then that is kind of technically, that's having a look at the biomechanics side, but when I kind of wheel in here, so back in November we did a club fitting. So here you've got Will using some P790 heads with 130 gram C-taper extra stiff shafts, so a serious piece of kit. Basically wasn't working for him, spinning too much. So then what we did was, I fitted him into some Project X IO 6.0, so softer and lighter by some 20 grams. So that then, even though, see here, this is kind of cruising speed a little bit a while ago, we can see there that that's some 20 yards. So that's then getting him to launch the ball better. So not only was he delivering the club better, as you can see here, and moving better because of the work that he did in the gym, he's just kind of, the combination of all three things have really worked. So that's what we're seeing, that's the differences that we made. But how, I hear you ask? Let's get into it. As promised, here is a little bit of insight into the specifics of how we made those changes for Will. And the start of the process really was to look at how he was physically able to move. First port of call was really understanding his lower quarters, and if you've watched any of my YouTube videos before, you'll see I'm big on this, and the reason for that is because most people struggle with it. So Will really struggles to turn into this left lower quarter. He's worked really hard at it with his fitness guys, Carl and Angus, but basically the net result is that they think it's anatomical. They don't think he's going to improve this rotation, and it's to the extent where it's down at 5-10 degrees, so really struggles. But what the guys have done, really clever, is they've really built up his ability to externally rotate, and not only in a mobility sense, but also stability. So he's really able to rotate out of that, and in turn that's allowed me, from a technical standpoint, to just really advise that he flares that front foot right out, because then that will facilitate that really nice improvement in the body rotation. And I mentioned Will's got this little fingerprint move at the top of his backswing. Now, a lot of people have maybe seen the external mobility screen that we need to do, and if anybody's watched any TPI stuff, you see this is a big one. But what I like to do is I also like to look at the internal rotation. Now, the big thing for Will is he's struggled with an injury, pretty serious injury in his left arm, which basically meant that whenever he gets to the top, he really struggles to do this. So he struggles to load that shoulder joint on the way down and then hit through. So you'll all see on the gears, you'll have seen it, that basically the club wants to do this because that's his shoulder wanting to go to comfort. So with that in mind, technically all we really did was, as I alluded to earlier on, was help him with his loading pattern. So we changed his front foot out a little bit, helped facilitate that motion, but also really just got him to hit some shots with his feet together, because what that allowed him to do is to get that sensation of a bit more load on his right side or into his right side, primarily through rotation. So then that allowed him to just basically use his balance and load more efficiently. And then when it came to the downswing element, so in changing, instead of that club working a little bit upright, down and left, and excessively loading into that left hip, what I really did was just really encouraged him to hit with a split grip. So what that does is that allows you to then shallow things off and then really apply force and pressure down the shaft. Think about ice hockey. What that does is that allows you to snap the club head as such. So that then allowed Will to effectively hit some nice little knuckly punch shots. So combined with the better body motion and the delivery of that club head by squeezing that ball into the turf through that split grip, allowed the changes that you've seen to take place. Well, I hope you found that interesting, and I think the key message here is to really see how the power of a holistic approach, so looking at the equipment, the body, and his technique in unison, coupled with a great team down in Newcastle with Angus and Carl, can really make some serious progressions. Improvement, especially with speed, often isn't about landslide huge things. It's just incremental process, diligent work, and that's exactly what Will's been doing with myself and the guys down south. So I hope that's kind of inspired you to see maybe areas of where you could improve, maybe where you want to focus, and also hopefully, maybe come and see little old me. We'll get on the gears, get the gear suit on and have a bit of fun and see where you're maybe losing some power and or gain some speed. Thanks ever so much for watching. Really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It really makes a difference. And again, thanks ever so much for watching. See you soon.